The stars burned cold above Earth as Captain Maya Rodriguez watched the last transport ship flee from the outer colonies. The reports were all the same. Dark ships had come from nowhere and destroyed everything in their path. No survivors, no warnings, just empty space where thriving worlds once lived. Maya stood on the bridge of the defense station orbiting Earth. Her hands gripped the metal railing as she stared at the tactical display. The enemy fleet was moving closer. Each red dot on the screen meant death for millions of humans. The military called them devourers, but Maya called them nightmares. The outer colonies had been home to 12 million people, families who had traveled across the galaxy to build new lives, children who had never seen Earth farmers and miners and teachers and doctors, all gone now, consumed by creatures that came from the dark spaces between stars. Dr. Elena Vasquez ran into the command center. Her usually neat hair was wild, and her eyes were wide with excitement. "Captain Rodriguez, you need to see this. Something just appeared near the moon." Maya turned to look at the main screen. A massive ship hung in space near Earth's satellite. The ship was unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked like it was grown. Rather than constructed, smooth curves flowed along its hull, and it glowed with soft silver light. The vessel was enormous, easily the size of a small city. Yet it moved with impossible grace, turning slowly, as if it was alive. Maya had seen ships from a dozen human colonies, but nothing like this. The hull seemed to shift and change as she watched it flowing like liquid metal. "What is it?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," Elena replied. "But it's sending a signal. It's not in any language we recognize, but there are patterns. Maybe mathematics, maybe music. I can't tell." The bridge crew gathered around the main display. Everyone stared at the alien vessel. Some whispered prayers. Others checked their weapons. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. Before Maya could respond, the air in the command center began to shimmer. Light bent and twisted in the center of the room. Colors appeared that Maya had no names for. The temperature dropped and everyone felt a strange tingling sensation on their skin. Then two figures appeared as if they had stepped through an invisible door. The first figure was tall and graceful, with silver hair that seemed to move like water even though there was no wind. Her skin was pale as moonlight and her eyes glowed with amber fire. She wore armor that looked like it was made of starlight itself. The metal flowed across her body like liquid, but Maya could see it was harder than diamond. In her hand she carried a weapon that hummed with deadly energy. The rifle was sleek and beautiful, but Maya could sense the power contained within it. The weapon seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat, waiting to unleash destruction. The second figure was not human at all. It was a dragon. The creature was massive even though it was crouched low. Its scales were black as space, but they shimmered with points of light like stars. The dragon had 4 powerful legs tipped, with claws that could tear through steel. Its wings were folded against its body, but Maya could see they would span the entire command center if extended. The dragon's head was elegant and terrible, with amber eyes that burned with intelligence. Its teeth were like curved swords and smoke drifted from its nostrils. The creature watched the humans with an expression that seemed almost amused. Every person in the command center froze. Some reached for their weapons, but stopped when they realized how useless such gestures would be. Others simply stared, unable to process what they were seeing. The woman stepped forward and spoke. Her voice was clear and strong, but there was something cold about it, something that made Maya think of winter storms and empty spaces between stars. "I am Lyrelei, Starweaver of the Ethereal Court," she said, each word perfectly pronounced. "This is Pyraxis, my companion. We come to offer alliance against the Devourers." Maya found her voice first, though it took effort to speak alliance. "Why would you help us? Because they destroyed my world, as they will destroy yours unless we stop them," Lyrelei replied. The dragon beside her made a low rumbling sound that seemed to vibrate through the floor and into the bones of everyone present. "How do we know you are not one of them?" Maya asked. Her hand moved slowly toward her weapon, though she knew it would be useless against beings who could appear and disappear at will. Lyrelay tilted her head as if the question confused her. The gesture was perfectly human, yet somehow alien. The way she moved was too graceful, too precise, as if every motion had been calculated for maximum efficiency. Then she raised her weapon and pointed it at the main screen. The display showed space around Earth, including several small dark shapes moving between the planets. These were Devourer scout ships sent ahead of the main fleet watch. She said. Energy flowed from her weapon in a beam of pure light. It was not like anything Maya had ever seen. The beam seemed to tear through space itself, reaching across thousands of kilometers in an instant. The energy struck one of the dark shapes, and the enemy ship exploded in a burst of fire that lit up the darkness. Maya watched in amazement as the alien warrior destroyed the scout ship with a single shot. The explosion was visible even from Earth, a new star that burned for several seconds before fading. The other scout ships immediately began evasive maneuvers, but Lyrelay tracked them with her weapon. 2 more beams of light reached across space. 2 more explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. The remaining scout ships fled back toward the outer system, their dark hulls barely visible against the stars. The dragon, called Pyraxis, stepped forward. Its voice echoed in Maya's mind without passing through her ears. We have hunted these creatures across the galaxy for 700 years. They are ancient evil. They devour life itself. They consume planets and stars, leaving nothing but empty void. Elena was the first to speak after the demonstration. How did you do that? Your weapon fired through space and hit targets thousands of kilometers away. Lyrelay looked at the human scientist with those glowing amber eyes. Technology, beyond your understanding. We offer to share knowledge, to fight together. Your weapons cannot harm Devourer ships. Your defenses cannot stop their advance. Without our help, your species will be extinct within days. Maya studied the alien woman. There was something strange about her. She moved with perfect grace and spoke without emotion. Even when she had destroyed the enemy ships, her expression had not changed. It was as if she felt nothing at all. What do you want in return? Maya asked, only to see the Devourers ended. Lyrelay replied. They must not be allowed to spread further into this galaxy. They have already consumed too much life, too many worlds. The dragon Pyraxis spoke again in their minds. These humans show courage. Their ships are primitive, but they fight with honor. We have watched them defend their colonies against impossible odds. Many species simply flee when the Devourers arrive. Maya looked around the command center at her crew. They were all staring at the 2 aliens, with mixtures of fear and wonder. Elena was already taking readings with her scanner, though Maya doubted the equipment could understand alien technology. The other officers waited for orders, their hands near their weapons. Your ship, Maya said, gesturing at the screen. How many of your people are aboard? Lyrelay was quiet for a long moment. Her perfect features showed no expression, but something flickered in her amber eyes. Only myself and Pyraxis. We are the last of your entire species. Maya asked, feeling her heart sink. The last of the ethereal court, Lyrelay said without emotion. There were others once, many others, millions of our people across hundreds of worlds, but the Devourers found our star systems. They consumed everything. Our cities, our people, our very stars. Nothing remains of our civilization except memories. Maya felt something twist in her chest. This alien warrior had lost everything, just as humanity was about to lose everything. Yet she stood here offering help instead of fleeing to some distant corner of the galaxy. The courage that must have taken was beyond anything Maya could imagine. You have been fighting alone for 700 years, Maya said. Yes, Lyrelay replied, as if 7 centuries of solitary war was nothing unusual. Maya made her decision. We accept your alliance. Lyrelay nodded once. The formalities are complete. We will begin immediately. Your primitive weapons cannot harm Devourer ships, but combined with our technology, you may survive. Your species has potential. The alien warrior turned to leave, but Maya called out, Wait, why are you really doing this? What do you gain from helping us? Lyrelay stopped and turned back. Her amber eyes met Maya's brown ones. For a moment, something flickered across. Her perfect features something that might have been pain or loss or loneliness. "Because the devourers must be stopped," she said. "And because you fight even when you cannot win. That is rare in the galaxy. Most species surrender when they realize they are outmatched. But humans continue fighting even when defeat is certain. That deserves respect," as the two aliens prepared to leave. Maya found herself staring at Lyrelay. The alien woman moved like a dancer and fought like lightning. Even her armor seemed to flow with her movements. Maya realized she had never seen anything so perfect, so graceful, so deadly beautiful. "Beautiful," Maya whispered without thinking. Lyrelay stopped. Her head turned slightly, and those amber eyes fixed on Maya again. "What? Did you say?" Maya felt her face grow warm with embarrassment. "I said you were beautiful. The way you fight, the way you move." "It's beautiful." Lyrelay stared at her for a long moment. Her expression was, the captured devourer ship hung in space like a festering wound in reality itself. Its hull was completely organic, looking more grown than built by any conventional construction methods. Dark tendrils reached out from its surface like diseased roots, and the entire vessel pulsed with a sick yellowish light that hurt to look at directly. Maya led the boarding party through the airlock wearing her new hybrid armor that combined human engineering with alien technology. Her enhanced weapons were ready to fire at the first sign of danger. The integrated systems allowed her to sense energy patterns and life signs that would have been invisible to normal human equipment. Dr. Rachel Morgan, the expedition's chief psychologist, followed close, behind Maya, her scanner recording everything they encountered. Maya had specifically requested Rachel for this mission because they desperately needed to understand the enemy psychology and motivations. Beside them, Navigator Zoe Martinez moved, with the fluid grace that came from her deep integration with Pyraxis. The dragon had formed such a strong mental bond with Zoe that she could sense danger before it actually appeared. Her enhanced reflexes and spatial awareness made her invaluable for navigating the twisted interior of an enemy vessel. Lyrelay moved ahead of the group like a deadly shadow, her weapon creating a path of destruction through any obstacles they encountered. The alien warrior showed no reaction to the horrific environment around them. Her perfect face remained as emotionless as always. The interior of the devourer ship was far worse than anything they had seen from the outside. Walls that looked like rotting flesh lined the corridors. Passages that seemed to actually breathe with a horrible rhythm, floors that were sticky with unknown organic substances that squelched underfoot. "This is absolutely horrible," Amy whispered through the communication system. "How can any living thing actually exist in this environment?" "They do not truly live," Lyrelay said in her flat, emotionless voice. "They consume other life forms. They exist only to devour everything else in the universe. They have no other purpose or desire." The boarding team moved deeper into the nightmarish vessel, following energy readings that suggested some kind of central control system. Maya noticed that Lyrelay never hesitated or showed any sign of disgust at the horrific surroundings. The alien warrior simply moved forward with mechanical precision, focused only on completing the mission objectives. They found the first living devourer in a chamber filled with organic machinery that pulsed and writhed like living tissue. The creature was tall and unnaturally thin, with too many arms that ended in razor-sharp claws. Its eyes glowed with the same sick light as the ship, and its mouth was filled with rows of needle teeth. Maya raised her hybrid weapon, but Lyrelay moved faster than human eyes could follow. Her beam weapon fired a stream of silver energy, and the devourer screamed as it died. The sound was absolutely awful, like metal being torn apart, mixed with the cries of suffering children. But Lyrelay showed no reaction whatsoever to the creature's death scream. She simply stepped over the dissolving corpse and continued toward the next chamber. Her amber eyes never changed expression, never showed the slightest hint of emotion. Maya caught up with the alien warrior. "What exactly are these creatures?" "Corrupted ethereals," Lyrelay replied without stopping or looking back. "They were my people once long ago, before the corruption began. Maya stopped walking completely. What did you just say? Zoe moved up beside them, and through her mental link with Piraxis, she could access the dragon's ancient memories, Captain. I can sense what Piraxis remembers. The Devourers used to be exactly like Lyrelai before something changed. Them Lyrelai finally stopped moving forward. She turned to face Maya, and for the first time since they had met, her perfect composure seemed slightly shaken. The Devourers are what remains of the original ethereal court. They chose a different evolutionary path than I did. What kind of path? Maya asked, though she was beginning to understand the horrible truth. Rachel stepped forward. Her psychological training focused on understanding the implications. They chose to consume other life forms rather than protect them, didn't they? Yes, Lyrelai said, and her voice carried something that might have been pain. Many of our people believed that absorbing life energy from other sentient beings would make us stronger and more powerful. They were absolutely correct. It did make them far stronger, into those nightmarish things. Maya gestured toward where the dead devourer had been, into beings that could never stop consuming. Lyrelai said slowly. They became completely addicted to the life force of other creatures. They needed more and more energy, until they could no longer remember what they used to be or why they had started consuming. Maya felt physically sick. You have been fighting your own people for 700 years. My former people, Lyrelai corrected with mechanical precision. They are no longer truly ethereal in any meaningful sense. They are nothing but endless hunger now. They have consumed so much that they have forgotten everything else. The boarding team continued through the ship, finding increasingly disturbing evidence of the Devourers' true nature and history chambers, filled with the preserved remains of consumed civilizations, energy collectors that stored the life force of entire worlds, computer systems that held the digitized memories of billions of dead sentient beings. In the central control room they made the most horrifying discovery yet. Zoe was connected to the ship's organic computer systems through her hybrid technology when she suddenly screamed in absolute terror and fell to her knees. Maya rushed to her side immediately. What is it? What did? You see, Zoe was shaking uncontrollably with tears streaming down her face. I can see exactly what they did, Captain. They consumed 12 separate civilizations completely, billions and billions of lives. They absorbed everything, the planets, the stars, even the empty space between solar systems. Rachel was taking detailed readings from the ship's vast data storage cores. This is not simple conquest or territorial expansion, she said with growing horror. It's complete obliteration of everything. They don't leave anything behind at all. No survivors, no ruins, no trace that civilizations ever existed. Maya looked around the organic control room and saw holographic displays showing detailed star maps. Entire sectors of the galaxy were marked as completely consumed, nothing but empty void where thriving solar systems used to exist. The scale of destruction was beyond human comprehension. Lyrelai studied the tactical displays with her usual emotionless efficiency. 1,700 ships in the main battle fleet, she observed. More than our previous intelligence estimates suggested. How can you be so completely calm about this? Maya demanded. These were your own people, your family, your civilization. They stopped being my people when they chose consumption, over protection, Lyrelai replied mechanically. I was created to destroy all enemies of the ethereal court. These creatures are no longer ethereal in any sense, but you feel absolutely nothing for them, Maya asked incredulously. No sadness for what they became, no grief for your lost civilization. I feel nothing at all about anything, Lyrelai said simply. The words hit Maya like a physical blow to the chest. She suddenly realized that Lyrelai was as much a victim as all the consumed civilizations. The alien warrior had been created without the ability to grieve for her fallen people, without the capacity to feel horror at what they had become. A new alert suddenly sounded throughout the captured ship. Amy's voice came through the communication. System Captain, we have multiple incoming Devourer vessels. They detected our boarding party and are moving to intercept. Maya immediately ordered the team back to their ships. But as they moved through the twisting corridors, something went terribly wrong. The Devourers had activated some kind of trap. Energy fields appeared blocking their path back to the airlock. Maya found herself separated from most of the others, with only Lyra Lee beside her. They fought desperately through waves of devourer, creatures that seemed to pour out of the ship's organic walls. Maya used her hybrid weapons while Lyra Lee carved a path of destruction with deadly efficiency. But the alien creatures were learning and adapting to their tactics with frightening speed. Maya was knocked to the floor by a blast of dark energy that cracked her hybrid armor. She could feel blood running down her face and her vision was blurred. Through the smoke and chaos, she saw more devourers approaching with their claws extended ready to tear her apart. Lyra Lee appeared above her like an avenging angel, her weapon firing continuous streams of silver light that cut through the enemy creatures like a blade through paper. She moved to stand directly over Maya's fallen body, protecting her with her own life. Why? Maya gasped, struggling to breathe. Why are you risking yourself for me? Lyra Lee paused in her firing, and the question seemed to genuinely confuse her. I do not know, she admitted. More devourers poured into the chamber from hidden passages. Lyra Lee fought with desperate intensity that Maya had never seen before. Her normally perfect movements became wild, almost frantic. The alien warrior had always been emotionless and controlled, but now she seemed afraid. Through her connection with Paraxis, Maya felt something fundamental change in Lyra Lee's mind. The cold emptiness was still there, but something else was trying to break through. Something that felt like genuine fear. Not fear for herself, but fear for Maya. The dragon Paraxis suddenly burst through the ship's outer hull, his massive form crushing devourer creatures as he landed in the chamber. Zoe was riding on his back, her own hybrid weapons adding to the final battle approached like a massive storm system. Maya stood in the primary command center watching the tactical displays that showed the enormous devourer fleet approaching Earth. 1,700 ships filled with creatures that had once been people, but were now driven only by endless hunger for life. Energy Admiral Sarah Blake had arrived from the outer defense stations, bringing the last remnants of humanity's military forces. The Admiral was a tough, experienced woman who had fought in every major engagement of the war. But even she looked grim as she studied the overwhelming enemy numbers. Captain Rodriguez, she said in a voice heavy with exhaustion. How many ships do we actually have ready with the hybrid alien technology? 57, Maya replied, knowing how inadequate that number was. Less than a tenth of what they are bringing against us. Blake nodded with resignation. What about our alien allies? What can they actually contribute? Maya looked across the command center to where Lyra Lee stood motionless beside the massive dragon Paraxis. The alien warrior was studying holographic tactical projections, her amber eyes moving across the displays with mechanical precision. But Maya had learned to see the subtle signs of emotion. The slight tension in Lyra Lee's shoulders told her the alien was feeling something even if she did not understand what. Lyra Lee says she knows their main weakness, Maya replied. The Devourer Queen controls the entire fleet through some kind of organic neural network. If we can reach her command ship and destroy her, the others will lose all coordination. Grace Williams looked up from her medical station. How do we get close enough to the Queen? The enemy will have her surrounded by hundreds of ships. Paraxis answered by projecting complex thoughts into all their minds simultaneously. The dragon showed them detailed images of the massive Devourer command vessel, a ship that pulsed with stolen life energy and was easily the size of a small moon. The Queen herself was visible in the images, a creature that had once been beautiful, but was now twisted into something horrible. Lyra Lee finally spoke in her controlled voice. That is my sister, Valana. She was the first among our people to choose the path of consumption over protection. Maya felt her heart sink completely. Your own sister. The Queen of the Devourers was once the crown princess of the ethereal court. Lyra Lee continued without any visible emotion. She personally led the faction that believed consuming other life forms would transform us into gods. Blake stepped forward with military directness. Can you actually fight your own sister? In combat, Lyra Lee turned those amber eyes toward the Admiral. I have been fighting her for 700 years, Admiral Blake. This final battle will simply end what began when our civilization split apart. But Maya could see the truth hidden in Lyra Lee's perfectly controlled face. The alien warrior was not as emotionless as she pretended to be. The thought of facing her sister in a final life-or-death combat was affecting her in ways she did not understand or know how to process. Amy Chen suddenly burst into the command center, her face flushed with excitement and exhaustion. Captain, I think I found something critical. The Devourer ships are all connected to the Queen through organic neural networks that function like a massive nervous system. The fleet will be completely helpless if we can disrupt those connections, Blake said immediately. Show me exactly how Amy activated a holographic display showing the complex energy patterns connecting all the Devourer ships. It looks like a giant biological nervous system, she explained. Each ship functions like a nerve cell connected to the Queen's central brain. If we can cut enough connections, the entire system should collapse completely. Zoe Martinez, who had become almost permanently linked with Pyraxis through their mental bond, spoke up. Pyraxis says there is a way to reach the Queen ship directly, but only if Lorelei comes with the strike team. Maya looked at the alien warrior. Why you specifically? Lorelei was quiet for a moment, staring at the tactical displays. Because I carry the same genetic codes as Falana, she said finally. The Queen will recognize me as family. She will want to convert me rather than simply destroying me outright. Convert you, Maya repeated with growing dread, into another devourer like herself, Lorelei said with no emotion. That will give us time to plant the weapon device and activate it. What weapon device? Blake demanded. Amy smiled grimly. Despite the desperate situation, I've been working with Elena on something special. A hybrid device that uses both human and alien technology. It will disrupt the Queen's connection to her entire fleet and destroy her at the same time. But it has to be manually activated, Maya said, understanding the horrible implication. Yes, Amy replied. Someone has to stay with the device. Someone has to trigger it manually when the Queen is most vulnerable. Blake looked around the room with growing understanding. That is a complete suicide mission. I will do it. Lorelei said without any hesitation, I was created to destroy the enemies of my people. This Queen is the greatest enemy my people have ever faced. Maya felt something twist painfully in her chest. You don't have to die for this. There has to be another way. I am already dead. Lorelei replied in that flat, mechanical voice. I died 700 years ago when my world was consumed. I have simply been fighting ever since. No, Maya said firmly, stepping closer to the alien warrior. You are not dead. You have been learning to live, learning to feel emotions, learning to be more than just a weapon. You felt fear when I was hurt. You felt something when you learned about your sister. Lorelei looked at Maya with those glowing amber eyes. I do not understand these new sensations they experience. They make me weak. They make me hesitate in critical moments. They make you human, Maya replied. They make you alive. The alien warrior was quiet for a long moment, then she nodded slowly. I will plant the device, but I will try to survive the mission, if possible. The strike team launched within hours. Maya led a squadron of hybrid fighters while Zoe rode Pyraxis directly toward the massive Devourer fleet. Lorelei flew alone in a ship grown from the same organic technology as her original vessel. The battle that followed was the most terrible thing Maya had ever witnessed. Human ships fought desperately against the Devourer swarm. Hybrid weapons cut through enemy hulls while return fire destroyed ship after ship. Maya watched friends die, saw entire squadrons consumed by the dark energy weapons. But the strike team pressed forward following Pyraxis as he flew between the massive enemy vessels. The dragon was magnificent, dodging weapons fire and using his natural abilities to avoid detection. Zoe guided him with perfect precision, her mind linked to his, in ways no human had ever achieved before. They reached the Queen ship and Maya felt her breath catch in her throat. The vessel was enormous, larger than any human city. It pulsed with sickly light and organic passages covered its hull like diseased veins. Pyraxis landed on what might have been a docking bay, and the strike team entered the nightmare. The interior was even worse than the scout ship they had boarded before. Everything was alive in the most horrible way possible. The walls breathed The floors moved beneath their feet, and the air itself seemed thick with malevolent purpose. Lyrelay led them through passages that seemed designed to confuse and trap intruders. But she moved with certainty as if she remembered the layout from long ago. Maya realized the ship might have been built using the pattern of an ethereal vessel from before the corruption began. They found the queen in a chamber at the ship's heart. Valana had once been as beautiful as Lyrelay, but consumption had changed her. She was larger now, covered in organic machinery that pulsed with stolen life energy. Her eyes still glowed with amber fire, but now that light was hungry and cold, Sister Valana said, and her voice echoed strangely in the chamber. "You have come home at last." "I have come to end this," Lyrelay replied, raising her weapon. Valana laughed, and the sound was like breaking glass. "It has been so long since I felt anything but hunger. But seeing you here, I remember what joy felt like. Join me, sister. Take what is offered and become more than we ever dreamed possible." "Never," Lyrelay said firmly. "Then you will die as our people died, as all the lesser races have died before us." The battle between the sisters shook the entire massive ship. Valana had grown powerful from centuries of consumption, while Lyrelay fought with the desperate skill of someone who had lost everything. Maya and the strike team tried to help, but the sisters moved too fast and fought with energies too dangerous for humans to approach. As the battle raged, Maya activated Amy's hybrid device. The weapon began to charge slowly, drawing power from the Queen's own energy systems. But it would take time they might not have. Lyrelay was losing. Maya could see it. Clearly, the alien warrior was incredibly skilled, but her sister had become something beyond normal combat. The Queen was winning through sheer overwhelming power. Then something changed. Lyrelay stumbled, and Valana pinned her against the chamber wall. The Queen extended organic tendrils toward her sister, preparing to begin the corruption process that would transform Lyrelay into another devourer. And Lyrelay looked directly at Maya in that moment. Maya saw something in the alien warriors, eyes that had never been there before. Fear not for herself, but for Maya, for the strike team, for humanity, for all the things she had learned to care about, even though she had been designed not to feel anything. The alien warrior princess turned to him and asked, "Why do you call me beautiful?" The question rang out across the chamber even as Valana began the corruption process. Maya understood what Lyrelay was really asking. She was not asking about. Commander Lisa Park slammed her hand on the table in the war room, making the holographic displays flicker dangerously. "We cannot trust them. They appear out of nowhere, claim to be our allies, and you just accept their word." Maya sat across from her, fellow officers trying to keep her voice calm and professional. "They destroyed 3 Devourer scout ships with single shots, Lisa. Our most powerful nuclear weapons barely scratch their hulls. We need their help. That proves they are dangerous." Park shot back, leaning forward aggressively. "What if they are working with the Devourers? What if this is all some elaborate trap to make us lower our defenses?" Dr. Elena Vasquez looked up from her tablet where streams of data scrolled past. "Commander, I have been studying the energy signatures from their ship and weapons. It is completely different from the Devourer technology we have observed. The power source alone operates on principles we do not even understand." Tech Sergeant Amy Chen nodded eagerly from her seat at the end of the table. "Dr. Vasquez is right. I ran every scan we have on that beam weapon. It operates using some kind of crystalline matrix that amplifies energy in ways our physics cannot explain. Yet somehow it works perfectly." Maya studied the faces around the table. These were good people, smart people who had fought hard to protect humanity through the darkest days of the war. But fear was making them suspicious and paranoid. "I understand your concerns. But we are losing this war badly. Our outer colonies are gone. The Devourer main fleet will reach the inner systems within 3 days." Park leaned back in her chair, but her expression remained skeptical. "Captain Rodriguez, you saw 2 aliens appear in our most secure facility. They bypassed every defense system we have walked through, shields that should stop anything. What prevents them from killing us all right now? If they choose to, because they do not need to." Maya replied firmly. "If they wanted us dead, we would already be dead." Did you see how that warrior moved? She could have killed everyone in that command center before any of us could even draw our weapons. The door to the war room opened, and Elena looked up from her scanner with sudden excitement. They are coming back, she announced. The energy signature is the same as before. The air in the center of the room began to shimmer just as it had before. Light bent and twisted, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. Then Lyrelai stepped through the portal, followed by the massive dragon Paraxis. The alien warrior looked around the room at the gathered humans. Her amber eyes showed no emotion as she took in their tense faces and defensive postures. She seemed to catalog each person, their weapons, their positions, as if planning how to kill them all if necessary. The dragon moved beside her like a living shadow, its scales reflecting the light from the holographic displays. "You are afraid?" she said flatly. It was not a question, but a simple observation. Commander Park stood up straighter, trying to project authority. "We are cautious. There is a significant difference between the two." Lyrelai tilted her head slightly in that alien gesture. "Your caution is wise, and shows intelligence. Most species we have encountered in our travels were not cautious enough when first meeting us. That is why they are all dead now." The words sent a chill through the room. Paraxis moved closer to the conference table, and his mental voice reached all of them at once. "The Devourers have consumed 12 civilizations in this sector of the galaxy alone. They take everything. Life, energy, matter, technology. Even the light from dying stars. Nothing remains when they finish feeding." Maya felt the weight of those words like a physical pressure. 12 entire civilizations. How many billions of sentient lives? How many worlds full of families and dreams and hopes? How do we fight something with that kind of power? Lyrelai moved to the holographic display, showing the approaching Devourer fleet. Her fingers passed through the light patterns and the display changed, showing technical readouts that none of the humans could understand. "Your ships are too slow and your weapons are too weak for direct confrontation. But your species has something most others we have encountered lack." "What is that?" Maya asked, leaning forward with interest. "You adapt quickly." Lyrelai touched the display again and it changed, showing human colony ships fleeing from the Dark Devourer vessels. "Most species fight the same way for thousands of years, using the same tactics, the same strategies humans learn from defeat. They change their approach. They find new ways to survive even when survival seems impossible." Amy Chen leaned forward eagerly, her fear replaced by scientific curiosity. "What kind of technological help can you actually give?" Lyrelai waved her hand and new images appeared in the hologram ships that looked like combinations of human engineering and alien technology. Weapons that glowed with the same energy as her beam rifle, defense systems that seemed to bend light itself around them. "We will share our knowledge," she said simply. "Your engineers will learn to build ships that can match Devourer speed. Your scientists will understand new forms of energy manipulation. Your soldiers will carry weapons that can actually harm the enemy." Park was still suspicious despite the impressive display. "And what exactly do you want in return for all this?" "Advanced technology, nothing." Lyrelai replied without hesitation. "Nothing." Park repeated, her voice heavy with disbelief. "That is extremely hard to believe." Paraxis spoke again in their minds, his mental voice carrying undertones of ancient sadness. "We want the Devourers completely destroyed. That is all we have wanted for 700 years of hunting them across the galaxy. If helping your species achieves this goal, then we are satisfied with the arrangement." Elena looked between the alien warrior and the dragon. "How many of the Devourers are there in total?" "Too many," Lyrelai said, and for the first time her voice carried something that might have been emotion. "Their main battle fleet consists of over 3,000 ships. Each vessel carries millions of the creatures in various states of development. The smaller ships hold hundreds of thousands." The room fell completely silent. The human fleet had less than 200 ships available for defense, and most of those were already damaged. From previous engagements, the odds were so overwhelming that several officers looked physically sick. Maya broke the heavy silence. "We need to start the integration process immediately. How quickly can you teach our people to use your technology effectively?" Lyrelai moved closer to Maya, and the alien woman seemed even taller up close, much taller than any human Maya had ever encountered. Her armor caught the light from the holographic displays and seemed to glow from within with its own inner fire. "Your species' learning speed will determine our ultimate success," she said. "Some of your people will adapt to our technology quickly and efficiently. Others may not survive the integration process at all." "What exactly do you mean by survive?" Amy asked, her voice suddenly uncertain. Lyreley looked at the young engineer with those glowing amber eyes. "Our technology requires mental integration with living crystalline systems. Not all human minds can handle the direct neural connection. Some subjects go completely insane. Others simply die when their brains cannot process the alien thought patterns." Park stepped forward aggressively. "You are asking us to risk our best people on completely untested alien technology that might kill them. I am offering you the only realistic chance your species has to survive this war." Lyreley replied coldly. "Your current weapons cannot even penetrate basic devourer armor plating. Your ships cannot match their acceleration or maneuverability. Without our technological assistance, you will be extinct within 1 week." Maya studied the alien woman's face, searching for any hint of deception or hidden agenda. There was no expression there, no hint of what she might be thinking or feeling. It was like looking at a perfectly crafted statue. But Maya had seen her in battle, had watched the deadly grace with which she destroyed enemy ships. "We will need volunteers," Maya said finally. "People willing to risk the integration process for the chance to save humanity." "I will do it," Amy said immediately without hesitation. "I want to understand how their technology actually works. I need to see the science behind it." Alina nodded firmly. "I need to study their biology, their energy manipulation systems, their ship construction methods. Everything we can learn." Lyreley turned to look at each volunteer in turn. Her amber eyes seemed to see right through them, to examine their souls. "You understand the significant risks? You may die painfully. You may lose your minds completely. You may become something no longer entirely human in the process." Amy met the alien's gaze directly. "I understand the risks completely." Alina nodded as well. "If it helps save humanity from extinction, then yes, I understand." And except Lyreley was quiet for a long moment, studying the two volunteers. Then she nodded slowly. "We will begin the process immediately. We will start with these volunteers and observe who can survive the integration. Those who do will teach the process to others." She turned toward Maya, fixing those burning amber eyes on her. "You will oversee the entire integration program. Your mind shows the strength needed to handle the direct connection." Maya felt her heart begin to race. "You want to integrate me with your technology personally?" "Yes," Lyreley said without emotion. "You have the mental qualities needed for success: courage, determination, tactical thinking, and something else that most warriors completely lack." "What else?" Maya asked, though she was not sure she wanted to know the answer. Lyreley stared at her for a moment with those glowing amber eyes. "Something most professional soldiers never develop. You see beauty even in the midst of terrible battle. That mental